Hello everyone. In this video, I want to talk about the various types of the round function. So we have some numbers here, and what we might want to do is to take this first number, which is 1,466,572.2418. Now, if I do a round here and I say comma 0, it basically removes the entire decimal component. Now, remember, this is not like going to the cell and hiding the decimal point because the underlying number is still the same. When you do a round, you're essentially changing the number for good. And this is an irreversible change. Once you remove the decimal part, you can't really bring it back. Let's also see the other variations. Now, if I do it in a slightly different way, so now I want to say a round with a 1. You notice it only takes the 1 position after the decimal. So if I make it 2, it takes 2 positions after the decimal. That means on the right side of the decimal. And if you do this with a minus, then it takes 2 positions on the left. But it is not just taking the position, it is removing the number and rounding it. For example, 572 is becoming 600. So 6572 becomes 6600. If I make it minus 3, then it becomes 67,000, like this. But the thing is, what will happen if my number was like this, 63,570? Now you notice that it becomes 64,000, which makes sense. But if I make it 472, then it becomes 63,000. Now, this means that round is taking the call whether it should do a round up or a round down. And that is why we can control it by saying that we don't just want to do a round, we want to do a round up. And this means that despite the number being 63472, it will still become 64,000. So despite the fact that the number is below the 5 digit, it will still round it up. And you get the result like this. On the other hand, if you do a round down, what will happen is that despite the number being 6572, so the answer should have been bigger, right? You notice that it gives me 6,000. So it is not becoming 7,000, it is becoming 6,000, like this. It's not particularly difficult, it's purely logical, and you should not have any trouble understanding this. One other thing that we can do is, when we say that we have stock worth, or rather, we will give the number of units. So let's say there are 1,235 units. Now the problem is I have to distribute it among dealers, and we have, let's say, 26 dealers. Now what is the allocation here? Now the problem is that I only have stock worth 1,235, right? Now if I divide it, this doesn't make sense. It becomes 47.5. I can't do that. So I would like to get the allocation as a whole number. For this, we can do a M round. And this tells us that when I divide 1235 by 26, the closest number that is perfectly divisible by 26 is 1248. Now, in this case, it might be a bit of a problem because how can you allocate stock worth 1248 when you only have 1235 with you, right? So maybe I can simply say that if the M round is greater than the original value, if it is greater than 1235, then what would we like to do? We would like to do the M round. But once we have done the M round, we would like to subtract the number one time. So minus 26. Otherwise, we'll do the M round as it originally was, like this. Now, how this works is, let me show you the formula as well. Okay, now how this works is that it is only allocating 1 to 2 2. Now imagine I was doing this with 25. So it allocates 1 to 2 5. So you get the idea, right? 24 would be 1 to 4. But the allocation obviously will have to be equal to or less than the stock that is currently available with us. There are also a few functions called floor, and then we have a ceiling. I'm not covering that right now. They're not really used very often, but I'm just sharing it with you that the function does exist. So in case you feel you want to go ahead and do this, please make sure to do that. But from my experience, not really used very often.